Translate this, and my salary is yours." The millionaire laughed. The maid did, and his jaw dropped. The marble floors of the Sterling mansion gleamed as Rosa Martinez carried a tray into the study. At 47, she had perfected the art of being invisible. Inside, the real estate mogul Marcus Sterling was trying to impress 3 investors, boasting about his international prowess. Rosa quietly set down the coffee service, ready to disappear as usual. "Wait," Marcus called out, a drunken, mischievous glint in his eye. "Gentlemen, let me show you something amusing." He pulled out a document covered in complex Chinese characters. "Rosa, you barely speak English, right?" he said, his tone dripping with condescension. His guests chuckled. "I speak English fine, Mr. Sterling," she replied, her face a neutral mask. "Right, right," he waved dismissively. "Tell you what." The room fell silent, waiting. Rosa looked at the document, then at Marcus. Her eyes, for the first time, were not meek or invisible. They were calm, clear, and utterly assured. "May I see the document, please, Mr. Sterling?" He handed it over with a theatrical flourish, winking at his guests. "Oh, this ought to be entertaining." Rosa scanned the pages. The men smirked, waiting for her to admit defeat. Then she began to speak in perfect, fluent Mandarin. The room went absolutely silent. The smirks vanished. She translated the commercial lease agreement flawlessly, detailing every clause, every financial term, with the precision of a seasoned legal translator. Then she switched to English and provided a complete summary. But she didn't stop there. "I've noted several problematic clauses," she said, her voice professional. Clause 7 deliberately hides significant water damage. Clause 12 allows the lessor to terminate the lease with only 15 days' notice, while binding you for 5 years with substantial penalties. I would strongly advise against signing this. The room was stunned. Marcus's face went from smug pink to pale white, his mouth hanging open. One of the investors, Robert Chun, leaned forward. "That single quotes S. exactly right. I read Mandarin." Her translation was flawless, and her analysis is spot on, Marcus stammered. "How? How do you ... Where did you ... Rosa straightened her posture, the uniform no longer defining her. "I have a master's degree in international business from Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico. I speak 5 languages: Spanish, English, Mandarin, French, and Portuguese. I worked for 15 years as a senior international business consultant, negotiating deals across 3 continents. She let that sink in. When my husband was diagnosed with cancer, we came to the U.S. for treatment. My credentials weren't recognized here. My experience was dismissed. So I took the jobs I could get. Cleaning houses. Being invisible to people who assume a mop defines a person's intelligence. She looked directly at Marcus. I've listened to your business calls for 3 years, Mr. Sterling. I've heard you butcher basic Spanish. I've watched you use Google Translate for important documents and claim you read them yourself. I've seen you overpay by millions because you didn't understand what you were signing. An investor coughed, trying not to laugh. So yes, Mr. Sterling, Rosa concluded, I can translate your document. I was joking, Marcus stammered. You can't seriously expect. Oh? Rosa's voice took on an edge. So you lie in front of your potential investors? An interesting business practice. Robert Chun stood up. Marcus, pay the woman. You made a deal. Honestly, you should be hiring her as a consultant. That analysis alone was worth thousands. The other investor, James Morrison, nodded. I'd hire her in a second. That was better than what I've paid experts $500 an hour for. With trembling hands, Marcus wrote a check for $27,400 and held it out, unable to meet her gaze. Rosa took it calmly. Wait, please, Robert Chun said, pulling out a business card. Ms. Martinez, I'm Robert Chun, CEO of Chun International. We desperately need someone with your skills. May we schedule a time to talk? James Morrison offered his card as well. Rosa accepted both with professional grace. She turned back to Marcus, who looked like he'd been hit by a truck. Mr. Sterling, I'm giving my notice. It's time I stopped making myself invisible. She walked to the door, then paused. One more thing? That Snow Polo deal you're considering? The property is zoned for residential use only, not commercial. It's written in the Portuguese documents I saw on your desk yesterday. I thought you might want to know before you lost millions and faced criminal charges. She gave a small, knowing smile. Consider it a parting gift. Good luck, gentlemen. The room was silent. Finally, Robert Chun turned to Marcus in disgust. You had someone that talented cleaning your toilets? Are you kidding me? Marcus dropped his head into his hands. I never asked. I just assumed ... double quotes. You assumed, James Morrison said coldly. And you just lost the most valuable person in this entire building. Within a week, Rosa accepted a position with Robert Chun's company as Director of International Relations with a six-figure salary. A month later, she was a keynote speaker at a business conference in Chicago. And sitting in the third row, looking small and ashamed, was Marcus Sterling. After her standing ovation, he approached her. Ms. Martinez, I owe you an apology. I was cruel and prejudiced. I'm deeply ashamed. That's honest, at least, Rosa said. Your advice on the Snow Polo deal saved me, he admitted. I don't deserve to ask, but how can I make amends? Rosa looked at him. If you really want to make amends, do this. Stop assuming you know someone's worth based on what they do for a living. Actually see people. Recognize that everyone has a story you don't know. I will, Marcus said quietly. I promise. 5 years later, Rosa was a vice president at a Fortune 500 company. Her husband was cancer-free. And Marcus Sterling, humbled and changed, became a vocal advocate for immigrant professionals, funding scholarships and lobbying for reform. He never forgot the maid who taught him that invisible doesn't mean worthless. Thanks for watching our story today. If you were inspired, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that makes you think. We'll see you next time.